5. Ötzi, the 5,000-year-old Iceman and the chilling mystery of death in the Alps. High in the frozen Alps, where snow blankets the peaks and time seems to stand still, history quietly preserved a story yet untold. Not the story of a powerful civilization, nor a tale of technological marvels like the Antikythera mechanism or the crystal skulls, but the story of a single human life, a life that whispers a haunting message across the ages. This is the story of Ötzi, the Iceman, a man whose perfectly preserved body, frozen for more than 5,000 years, offers us a glimpse into a long-lost world and a death still shrouded in mystery. In 1991, on the border between Austria and Italy, two hikers stumbled upon a body partially exposed by melting ice. At first, they assumed it was a modern mountaineer, a victim of some tragic accident. But when scientists examined the remains, they were stunned to discover the truth. This was the body of a man who had walked the earth over 5 millennia ago. Remarkably, his body was almost perfectly preserved, complete with skin, hair, clothing, and primitive weapons. They named him Ötzi, after the Earth's Valley near where he was found. But the greater mystery remained. Who was this man, and what happened in the final hours of his life? Examinations revealed that Ötzi was not a lone wanderer. He wore carefully crafted clothing made from animal hides, and his shoes were lined with grass for insulation, designed so practical and sophisticated that modern researchers marveled at their effectiveness. Beside his body lay an unfinished bow, a flint knife, and even a rudimentary medical kit, evidence that he was not only a survivor, but a man skilled in caring for himself. But the most chilling discoveries were the injuries on his body. An arrowhead lodged in his left shoulder, an undoubtedly fatal wound. A deep cut on his hand, likely sustained in a fight, and signs of blunt trauma to his head, possibly the final blow. Ötzi did not die from cold or disease. He died violently, the victim of an attack whose motive remains unknown. Was it personal revenge, a territorial dispute, or a sudden ambush in the wilderness? Strangely, his tragic death is what allowed his story to endure. Entombed in ice, his body was shielded from scavengers and decay, becoming a time capsule of prehistoric life. From his stomach, researchers recovered traces of wild meat and ancient grains, suggesting that he lived within a community that hunted, farmed, and cooked its food. On his skin, dozens of mysterious tattoos, perhaps remnants of a primitive form of acupuncture used for pain relief. And on his belongings, evidence of a culture that crafted tools, fought for survival, and perhaps like us, struggled with conflict and suffering. Unlike the crystal skulls, the Antikythera mechanism, or the Nazca lines, Ötzi is the story of a single man, ordinary in life, extraordinary in death. Through him, we glimpse a time when humanity was learning to hunt, farm, and forge weapons, but was still caught in the timeless struggle for survival. Ötzi was no king, no prophet, no legendary warrior. He was a man, much like any other of his time. Yet his preserved life and violent death became a window into an era that no written record survived to describe. Perhaps the miracle lies not in who he was, but in the simple fact that his story is still being told, a fragile thread connecting the distant past to the present. And like the crystal skulls, the Antikythera mechanism, and the Nazca lines, Ötzi reminds us that the past is never truly gone. It merely sleeps, waiting for those curious enough to awaken it.
6. The hidden library beneath the Egyptian pyramids, the forgotten knowledge of humanity. Beneath the endless golden sands of Egypt, where the 180 pyramids stand defiant against time and wind, there exists a story that has never been fully told. A story of a hidden library, said to guard the true memory of humankind, a history never written in our official books. Most people see the pyramids as tombs for the pharaohs, grand monuments built to protect their souls on the journey to the afterlife. But there is another legend, quieter, older, that speaks of something far greater, a subterranean library hidden beneath these colossal stone monuments, preserving secrets about our origins, science, and the forgotten truths of ancient civilizations. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the god Thoth, the guardian of wisdom and knowledge, was said to have recorded the mysteries of the universe onto sacred scrolls and hid them where only the worthy could find them. Historical writings by the ancient priest Manetho spoke of Egyptian kings who ruled for tens of thousands of years, names and reigns erased from our modern understanding of history. And then, in the 20th century, the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce made a prediction that shook the world. A hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx would one day be discovered, containing the records of Atlantis and the lost knowledge of mankind. Since then, countless explorers, archaeologists, and seekers of truth have turned their eyes to Giza, where the pyramids and the Sphinx silently stand watch beneath the desert sun. In modern times, ground-penetrating radar and subsurface scans have detected unexplained voids and cavities beneath the bedrock of Giza. But every attempt to excavate these sites has been abruptly stopped, with the Egyptian authorities declaring them off-limits. Why? What is buried there that must remain hidden? A treasure of gold and jewels, or a truth so powerful that it could rewrite everything we thought we knew about our past? Mainstream Egyptologists dismiss these ideas as mere fantasy. They argue that the pyramids are simply tombs and that there is no evidence of a hidden library. But history has shown us time and time again that what we dismiss as legend today may become fact tomorrow. The Antikythera mechanism once seemed impossible, yet it was recovered from the sea. The crystal skulls were once whispered myths, but they now sit in museums for all to see. So, perhaps beneath the pyramids lies the final piece of a puzzle we have yet to solve. Maybe this hidden library holds the true story of our beginnings, not of primitive cave dwellers, but of civilizations that once reached for the stars. Perhaps it protects knowledge of energy, medicine, astronomy, and life itself. Knowledge so advanced and dangerous that it was hidden until humankind was wise enough to wield it. But the greatest question is not whether the library exists. The question is, if one day someone uncovers it, are we truly ready for the truth? For sometimes, truth does not set us free. It shatters the fragile world we have built upon lies and illusions. Until that day, the pyramids will remain silent, the Sphinx will continue to gaze toward the rising sun, and the desert winds will whisper over mysteries still unsolved. And perhaps, deep beneath the earth, those ancient scrolls still murmur their secrets, waiting for someone brave enough to listen.
The Nebra Sky Disk, a star map older than history itself. Hidden deep within the dense forests of Germany, where mist and time have cloaked centuries of forgotten history, a small yet powerful artifact was unearthed, an object that would shake our understanding of ancient European civilization. This is the story of the Nebra Sky Disk, a bronze and gold map of the stars, older than any known book of astronomy and more sophisticated than anyone imagined the Bronze Age could produce. In 1999, during an illegal excavation in the Middelburg Hills, treasure hunters uncovered what appeared to be nothing more than a corroded scrap of metal buried beneath the earth.
But when archaeologists examined it, the faded golden patterns on the weathered bronze revealed something far greater. A story written in the language of the stars, depicting the sun, the moon, and the distant Pleiades cluster, a constellation revered in myths across countless ancient cultures. Dating back over 3,600 years, the Nebra disk is not merely decorative. It is a cosmic timekeeping device, used by ancient people to track solstices, mark the rhythms of the agricultural year, and perhaps even synchronize the solar and lunar calendars. What baffles modern scientists is not only the disk's existence, but the question, who created it? At that time, Europe was still in the early Bronze Age, without written language, without monumental astronomy like Egypt or Mesopotamia, yet somewhere in the heart of what is now Germany, an unknown group of people observed the skies, calculated the seasons, and recorded the stars with remarkable precision. Did this knowledge arise independently, or was it the final echo of a much older civilization, one that vanished without a trace, leaving behind only scattered remnants like the Nebra disk? When placed beside the Antikythera mechanism of Greece or the Nazca lines of Peru, the Nebra disk fits into a strange puzzle. Distant, isolated cultures across the world somehow possessed profound astronomical understanding far beyond what we credit them for. Could it be that long before our recorded history, there existed a shared, global wisdom, a civilization that revered the stars and mapped the cosmos, whose fragments we now glimpse only through isolated artifacts like this? Today, the Nebra disk rests quietly in a museum, protected behind glass and lights, yet it remains an unanswered question. Who built it? What exactly did they know? And why, after such a brilliant creation, did no similar artifacts appear for more than 1,000 years? Perhaps the Nebra disk is not just an archaeological relic, but a reminder that when we gaze up at the night sky, the sense of awe we feel is not ours alone. Thousands of years ago, someone else stood beneath these same stars, not merely admiring them, but understanding them. And so, in the darkness of the Central European forests, some unknown figure mapped the sky, not for beauty's sake, but to find order within chaos, to connect humanity with the vast universe above. A star map, not just for their time, but as a gift for the future, for us, who still wander through the questions of the past, learning to listen to voices long forgotten.
8. The Dropa Stones, Alien Records, or Forgotten Legends of the Himalayas. High in the desolate, icy peaks of the Himalayas, where few humans have ever set foot, there lies a strange story, buried beneath layers of fog and forgotten time. It is not the tale of grand pyramids or towering statues, but of small, unassuming stone discs, rough in appearance, yet carved with strange symbols that some believe could be a message from visitors beyond the stars. This is the mystery of the Dropa Stones, a legend trapped between myth, history, and denial. According to unofficial accounts, in 1938, a Chinese-Tibetan archaeological expedition led by Professor Chi Pu Te discovered a series of ancient tombs in the Bayan Har Mountains of the Tibetan Plateau. But what truly astonished them were not the small skeletons, measuring barely 1.2 meters tall with disproportionately large skulls, but the round stone discs, about 30 centimeters wide and a few centimeters thick, each with a hole in the center and spiral grooves running from the rim toward the center. These discs, in shape, resembled primitive phonograph records, But on their surfaces, the spiraling grooves were filled with tiny, strange characters, so small they could only be seen clearly under magnification. At first, no one could understand what they meant. Years later, a Chinese scholar named Sum Nui reportedly claimed to have deciphered part of the inscriptions. According to him, the carvings told the story of a group of beings from a distant star system, beings we now call the Dropa. They crash-landed on Earth after a technical failure and found themselves stranded in the harsh, isolated mountains. At first feared and hunted by the local people, the Dropa eventually learned to coexist with the native tribes, surviving together against the harsh environment of the Himalayas. If this account is true, then the Dropa stones are not merely archaeological relics, but the oldest written evidence of contact between humans and an extraterrestrial civilization, inscribed in stone thousands of years before recorded history. However, the story of the Dropa stones has been met with fierce skepticism. No official records of Professor Chi Pu-te or Sum Nui exist in Chinese archives. The stones themselves have never been displayed in any reputable museum. Many believe the entire story was a fabrication, perhaps born in the Cold War era when tales of ancient astronauts began to capture the world's imagination. Yet the mystery refuses to fade. To this day, the Dropa legend survives in UFO communities, alternative history books, and in the minds of those who believe that humanity's past is far stranger than textbooks will ever admit. Perhaps, long ago, humans did not simply gaze at the stars in wonder, but once spoke with those who came from them. And if such contact truly happened, are we really the first intelligent beings on Earth, or merely the latest chapter in a long-forgotten history? Whether the Dropa stones are fact or fantasy may never be known. But perhaps the more important question is this: are we willing to accept that our past may be larger, more complex, and far stranger than we've ever dared to believe? And somewhere in the frozen silence of the Himalayan caves, the truth, whether it belongs to the stars or to our imagination, may still be waiting for someone brave enough to listen. The mysteries we have just explored, from the sunken city of Yonaguni, the enigmatic crystal skulls, the Antikythera mechanism, the Nazca lines, to Ötzi the Iceman, and the Dropa stones, all share one common thread. They are not merely relics of stone and metal. They are unanswered questions, messages whispered through time, reminding us that human history is not a straight line, but a labyrinth of forgotten paths and untold stories. Were ancient humans wiser than we ever imagined? Did lost civilizations truly exist beyond myth and legend? Or perhaps, are these stories the creations of our own curiosity, fears, and dreams, filling the blank pages of history with wonders we long to believe in? Today, we possess the technology to scan beneath the earth, dive into the deepest oceans, and peer into the darkest caves. But the greater question remains: do we have the courage to face the truth, even when it is not the truth we expected to find? Because some mysteries exist not to be solved, but to keep us searching, questioning, and dreaming. Perhaps, in some distant jungle, beneath eternal ice, or deep under the ocean floor, secrets still sleep, waiting for someone brave enough to awaken them. And when we do, maybe the past will no longer be something behind us, but a mirror reflecting who we are, fragile, curious beings, forever seeking the meaning of our existence.